If you are having trouble keeping track of how much time actually passes through the first season of House of the Dragon, this is the video for you. We're going to cover exactly how much time passes between events and various episodes, so let's get started. First though, a little bit of housekeeping. We are working from the events of the show here, not the books. While this doesn't factor in too much, there are some places where it does, primarily with the age of the characters. So the marking of the years, AC, stands for Aegon's Conquest and is counted as year 0. With that out of the way, we join the events of the show in the year 101 AC, shortly after the deaths of the sons of the then king, Jaehaerys Targaryen. Technically, the person with the strongest claim to the throne is Rhaenys, daughter of Jaehaerys' eldest son, Aemon. However, she is passed over in favor of her cousin Viserys, who was considered to be less likely to cause strife among the lords of the Seven Kingdoms due to being a man. It was definitely a good idea to do this while he was still alive, given that a common nickname for him was the Old King due to his advancing age. A scant 2 years later, in 103 AC, Jaehaerys did die, leaving the throne to Viserys. While Viserys and his wife Aemma had already had their eldest daughter, Rhaenyra, really, he needed a son due to the strong patriarchal society. Aemma was pregnant multiple times, all of which were either miscarriages or stillbirths. So the issues of Viserys' eventual successor weren't resolved. Meanwhile, Daemon, younger brother of the king and the presumptive heir, is married off to Rhea Royce of the Vale, though neither are particularly happy with that arrangement, and the marriage was never consummated. In an attempt to keep Daemon happy but still at court, he gets appointed to various positions of power. In order, Master of Laws, Master of Coin, and Commander of the City Watch. In each of these positions, Daemon finds himself opposed by Otto Hightower, Viserys' Hand of the King, largely because Hightower considers Daemon to be unpredictable, impulsive, and cruel. Nevertheless, Viserys insists on keeping his brother in a high position. That is where we join the events of the show, beginning in the year 112 AC. Lord Corlys Velaryon warns the king and council of an alliance known as the Triarchy, composed of the free cities of Lys, Myr, and Tyrosh. They seek to lay claim on the Stepstones, a series of islands located in the Narrow Sea, and the threat that poses to potential trade routes in and out of the ports of the Seven Kingdoms. These warnings go largely ignored. The next day, Aemma gives birth to a baby boy, but neither mother or child survive, once again leaving the matter of potential succession up for debate. Daemon is found to be celebrating in a brothel, declaring his dead nephew the heir for a day, something that greatly angers Viserys, leading him to his decision. He sends Daemon off to the Vale to join his wife, and decides to name Rhaenyra as his heir. To reinforce this notion, he summons all of the important lords of the Seven Kingdoms to King's Landing to swear fealty to Rhaenyra as the true heir to the throne. Of course, Daemon does nothing of the sort, instead mounting his dragon with his mistress and taking over the family seat at Dragonstone. 6 months pass, and the Triarchy continues to wage war in the Stepstones, and are only making slow progress. Rhaenyra suggests sending in the Dragon Riders, but Viserys prefers to try diplomacy with the Free Cities, much to the annoyance of Lord Corlys. Not helping this is Viserys' reluctance to marry Corlys' daughter Laena, even though his reasonable objection is that she is only 12. At the same time, Rhaenyra chooses Sir Criston Cole to the Kingsguard, as he was the only one of the knights present with real combat experience. Meanwhile, Daemon, trying to reclaim his status as heir, steals a dragon egg, intending to claim it for his own. While Otto Hightower is sent to reclaim it and Dragonstone, it is ultimately Rhaenyra who flies over to ensure that the egg is retrieved without any bloodshed. Viserys announces his intention to marry Alicent Hightower, daughter of the Hand, something that sends Corlys over the edge, and to seek an alliance with Daemon instead to fight the war in the Stepstones. Viserys and Alicent marry soon thereafter, and 1 year later, in 113 AC, she gives birth to Aegon as the new prospective heir. Meanwhile, with Rhaenyra growing into womanhood, an increasing number of requests for suitors flock into King's Landing, but Viserys has to refuse them all, as he doesn't want to force his daughter's hand in that way. Another 2 years pass, and Daemon continues fighting in the Stepstones with Lord Corlys, but not even 2 dragons can really help them. The pirates keep fleeing into the caves of the island where they're safe from the dragon fire, so losses remain high and progress fairly minimal. That is, until Viserys sends an envoy, saying that reinforcements from King's Landing are on their way. Determined to prove that he can make do without his brother's help, Daemon instead goes with a plan suggested by Laenor Velaryon, eldest son of Lord Caleris, to feign surrender to draw out the Triarchy armies. This is surprisingly successful, as the Velaryon army stages a successful assault, assisted by Laenor Velaryon on his dragon Seasmoke, allowing Daemon to claim the victory and crown himself king of the Narrow Sea, albeit briefly. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra is confirmed by Viserys that the choice of marriage is not hers to make, it is her duty. He will, however, allow her to choose her own husband in marriage, so long as he is a man of a noble house. A year passes, bringing us to 115 AC, in which time Alicent gives birth to her daughter, Helaena, and Rhaenyra continues to shoot down every suitor that asks for her hand, usually as being too old, too young, or from a minor house. Even though her tour of the Seven Kingdoms was supposed to last another few months, Rhaenyra has had enough of the endless suitors and returns to King's Landing. On her way there, the ship is caught by Caraxes, which she knows heralds the return of Daemon to the city as well. He offers both his crown and the stepstones back to Viserys, who welcomes him back as a brother. Although word soon reaches the king that this is mostly a symbolic gesture, as Corlys Velaryon is actually the one in control over the stepstones, and is seeking an alliance with the Sea Lord of Braavos to strengthen his grip on the islands and the waters between them. Later that night, Daemon and Rhaenyra sneak out of the castle to enjoy a night out in the city, ending up in a brothel where they quite enjoy each other's company. Unfortunately for them, one of Otto Hightower's spies spots Rhaenyra, after which he goes to inform Viserys what she's done. Daemon is exiled again, and given the position Rhaenyra has put herself in, one where her maidenhood would be questioned, Viserys tells her to marry Sir Laenor Velaryon, as that would both nip any rumors about her in the bud, as well as restore relations with Corlys Velaryon. Rhaenyra accepts this on the condition that her father remove Otto Hightower as Hand, since he is clearly looking to put his own grandson on the throne. Viserys does so, naming Lionel Strong Hand of the King instead, and Rhaenyra does her duty and marries Laenor. Not that he is particularly happy about that, a compliant Laenor voices to his male lover, but he knew that it was inevitable. Daemon has kept himself busy, did as he was told, and returned to the Vale to reunite with his wife. However, only does that with the intent of killing her, freeing himself up so that he can pursue his wish of marrying Rhaenyra, a wish that he says out loud once more when he returns to King's Landing right before the wedding. The wedding feast doesn't go great, with it ending with Sir Criston beating Laenor's lover to death, and during the wedding itself, Viserys faints, his slow-burning illness finally getting the better of him. Shortly after this, Daemon marries Laena Velaryon, and that's when another skip happens. The next 10 years sees a slew of births. Daemon and Laena have Baela and Rhaena, and Rhaenyra has Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey, with the latest birth happening in 126 AC, which is where we pick up the story once more. In truth, all three of Rhaenyra's children are bastards, having been fathered by Sir Harwin Strong, son of the Hand and commander of the City Watch. Seemingly everyone at court is aware of this fact, save for Viserys himself, whose illness has spread, having cost him his left arm. Across the Narrow Sea, Daemon and Laena have taken up residence in Pentos, with Laena having bonded with the dragon Vhagar, largest living dragon and the last one to have flown with Aegon the Conqueror. She is actually pregnant herself, but does not let that deter her from riding. However, when she goes into labor soon after, the baby is in breach, unable to come out naturally, and the masters suggest a cesarean section, something that the mother wouldn't survive. Laena instead chooses to go out as a dragon rider, ordering Vhagar to burn her alive. Back in Westeros, Lionel Strong takes his son to Harrenhal before the rumors of him having fathered Rhaenyra's bastards can take form. However, Lionel's second son, Larys, arranged for mercenaries to lock both his father and his older brother in their tower and set it on fire, killing both of them in the process. This opens up the position for Otto Hightower to return to the position of Hand of the King, which he takes. At Laena Velaryon's funeral, it's revealed that the rumors of Rhaenyra's children have spread far and wide, and that pretty much everyone knows the truth. Rhaenyra herself is still as enthralled by her uncle Daemon as she was a decade earlier, in spite of her marriage to Laenor. Meanwhile, over on the beach, Aemond, second son of Viserys and Alicent, and the only Targaryen to currently not be bonded to a dragon, seizes the opportunity to bond with Vhagar and claim the creature for himself. However, on his way back to Castle Driftmark, he finds himself blocked by the children of both Daemon and Rhaenyra, and in the ensuing scuffle, Aemon gets cut across the face, losing his left eye. Alicent loses her temper through her grief over the wounds inflicted on her son, and she attacks Rhaenyra in front of the entire court. This doesn't go over well with anyone, and when everyone comes to their senses, both Aemond and Otto Hightower assure Alicent that losing his eye is worth it because he won Vhagar to their side. The next day, Daemon and Rhaenyra conspire to remove Laenor Velaryon from the picture, staging his death so that they can get married. The last major skip in time happens here. Another 6 years pass, bringing us to 132 AC. During this time, Rhaenyra and Daemon have 2 sons, Aegon in 128 AC, and Viserys the Younger after that. Corlys Velaryon is wounded in battle while fighting on the Stepstones, and it's an open question whether or not he'll survive. Vaemond Velaryon, Corlys' younger brother, asserts that he should be named heir to Driftmark over Rhaenyra's children, seeing how they are not true-born heirs. When word of this reaches Rhaenyra, she and Daemon decide that the only way to stop this is to return to King's Landing for the first time in 6 years, where they find what terrible shape King Viserys is in. He is bedridden, and Alicent reigns as queen in his stead, replacing the dragon sigils around the castle with the 7-pointed star. With the official procedure to decide the heir of Driftmark beginning, Viserys stuns the entire court by appearing, weak as he is. He claims that the only one who can give insight into Corlys' wishes for his successor is his wife Rhaenys. She, in turn, proclaims Lucerys would be the true heir to Driftmark, much to Vaemond's anger, which he says out loud. Yelling in front of the entire court that Rhaenyra's children are bastards, Viserys orders his tongue cut out, but before that can happen, Daemon decapitates him entirely, removing any potential challenger to Lucerys' claim. That night, Viserys has his entire family join him for dinner, and while things remain calm and composed while he's still there, as soon as he retires to his chambers, the animosity breaks out once more, though cooler heads prevail this time, and everyone retreats before more blood is spilled. Rhaenyra, Daemon, and their children return to Dragonstone immediately, knowing that they're not safe in the Red Keep. Later that night, in his chambers, Viserys incoherently rambles to Alicent right before he finally passes away. She mistakes his final words to mean that Viserys wanted his eldest son Aegon crowned king. And with this decision likely to be contentious, Otto and Alicent know they have to move fast. The council openly discusses the option of assassinating Rhaenyra, as not doing so would leave the 7 kingdoms poised for war. Rhaenys, still in the Red Keep after Vaemond's death, is confined to her chambers, but ultimately broken out by the Kingsguard, who realizes that the Hightowers are about to usurp the throne from the heir Viserys named. Aegon is taken to the Dragon Pit along with the small folk of King's Landing, where the Hightowers arrange them to all witness the coronation, leaving no doubt over who they see as king. However, Rhaenys gets caught up in a crowd and is also forced into the Dragon Pit, where she sneaks off to find her dragon, breaking through the floor and putting an abrupt end to the coronation. However, she stops short of ordering her dragon to kill the entire royal family, as she does not consider it her place to start the War of Succession. Instead, she flies over to Dragonstone, informing Rhaenyra of her father's death and the usurpation of the throne. The news causes Rhaenyra, about 5 months pregnant at the time, to miscarry. At the funeral of the stillborn child, a Kingsguard arrives, handing Rhaenyra her father's crown, which he had stolen in the confusion. She is proclaimed the Black Queen, and they immediately begin to plot which houses they can count on for support. Corlys has indeed recovered and pledges his support to Rhaenyra, already securing her a powerful fleet and 3 more dragons. 2 of the houses that might need some convincing are the Starks and the Baratheons. And rather than sending normal envoys, the eldest sons offer to go on Dragonback, being both faster and more impressive than a messenger. Lucerys flies to Storm's End, only to find Vhagar and Aemond already there, and Lord Baratheon refuses Lucerys' demand of swearing fealty to Rhaenyra, although he does stop Aemond from seeking revenge for the eye Lucerys cut out. On his way back to Dragonstone, however, Aemond gives chase on Vhagar, but has trouble controlling his dragon, who eats Lucerys whole. Once the message reaches Rhaenyra, the news makes war inevitable, and the Dance of the Dragons begins. And that marks the end of the timeline covered by Season 1 of House of the Dragon, 31 years in total. Let us know your thoughts on the show so far in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more great content on Cinematica every week.